Welcome back to the Expressions of Destiny podcast. This is Jennifer. Today is Faith-Filled Friday, and it has been kind of a different week for us here. We had an extremely busy week, and from the beginning of this week, thinking about the different topics that I wanted to come on here and share with you guys. Normally I may just kind of get an idea, but everything always happens in the moment. It's unscripted, as I always say. And I just share my heart on the subjects, that come about on a daily basis. And so I wasn't feeling so much the urge to do a Teachable Tuesday for business. And in the same light, I knew there was something that needed to be shared today on Friday. And so as the week went through, what a beautiful way that God lined up so many different interactions with so many different people, different meetings, different hearts being spoken in these networking events and meetings with, other people that I've met over the past couple of months. And the Lord showed me exactly what it was that He wanted this week's episode to be. And I say episode because it was meant to be a faith-filled episode that ties into your business. And so today that's what we're going to talk about just a little bit. And I love how He brought it all together this morning with the verse of the day. I don't know if you have the Bible app on your phone. I do. And so it's become my morning routine and my habit to immediately look at the first thing I do is I look at the verse of the day because I want to see what it is that He is speaking, what our Father is speaking. And the verse today was Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32. And this is in the Amplified Version, but it says, "Be kind and helpful to one another, tender-hearted, compassionate, understanding, forgiving one another, readily and freely, just as God in Christ also forgave you." And I'm going to go back and read that again in just a moment. But the reason why this ended up aligning with everything that happened this week, and I knew that it was meant to be just this one episode today, was because I knew God was preparing my heart to be able to receive everything that I needed to hear in regards to business people, those that own their businesses. Those of you that are listening right now, you own your own business. You have a small business, large business, medium. Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're just starting out, and you walk every single day by faith in believing that God is going to guide you. You look to Him for your direction. You look to Him for your provision when it comes to this dream and this vision, this goal that you have, because you wouldn't have that vision if it wasn't for Him. He placed that inside of you years ago, even as a child. He placed these things inside of us, and it is a part of us. It is part of our purpose. And it may take us time to understand and to realize what it is that we have been created to do. I mean, we go through life, right? We go through that childhood age. We go through middle school, high school, trying to figure out what we're good at, what our gifts are, what our talents are, our learning styles, just what it is that we are good at. What are we going to do with the rest of our life? And sometimes if we just stop and ask our Father and just say, what did you create me for? I know there is greatness inside of this body. I know there's greatness in my heart. My heart just longs to do good and great and amazing things. I want to succeed. I want to be a blessing. I want to serve others. I want to be able to give in every way possible. But what am I supposed to do? And how do I do that? And so I've run into so many people over the past several months, more than the 20 years that we've been in business and have done so many things. And it kind of takes me down my own journey of not really being set in just one thing, because my heart has always been to just go and do what it is and where it is that He wants me to go and be. And so that sometimes can appear to people as though, I have too much on my plate. I'm trying to be involved in too many things. But I see it as when a door opens, you run through it, right? If God has given you the push and he's given you the urgency and that fire is burning inside of you when something arises. Let me give you an example. So I could be sitting in a meeting and somebody's saying, oh, by the way, I am also going to be helping out at such and such organization or foundation next month because they really need help. And all we have to do is just show up and help. And something will just leap inside of me and give me an urgency to say, I want to help too. What do I need to do? And they'll tell me I'm not even sure what I'm going to do. We just show up and they usually give us something to do, whether it's cleaning or cooking or taking care of, something that's of priority, or maybe they need to get a project done. It's just being there. You have the heart to do something, just show up. And a lot of times that's all we have to do. Is show up when God tells us to go somewhere and do something or be available. And yet we want all the answers ahead of time. We want to know exactly what's going to happen. And he's saying, just show up. Trust me. I will show you what it is that was supposed to happen in this whole situation. And it may not be anything related to the volunteer opportunity. You could be volunteering at a pet facility, or like a humane society, or some type of shelter. But you end up meeting somebody in the moment where you're taking care of these animals, these sweet creatures. You're taking care of them. You're loving on them. You're helping to feed them. You're helping to care for them and to clean them up and give them a bath or whatever it is. Maybe you're just outside playing with them and you're having a conversation with somebody else that has shown up on the same day to do the same thing. And immediately God shows you the connection because you were meant to be there to meet that person, although your heart was just going to be a blessing. And so in that, God is able to use those situations. I know I'm jumping all over the place here, but there have been so many interactions this week that have proven that to be so true, that if we just go, even in the moments where we don't feel comfortable, we're going to have to step out of our nervousness, our anxiousness. We're going to have to stop fearing and just go. Even if we're going by ourselves, even if we have to break away from something else and take a moment to be obedient, God will show you exactly why it is that you were meant to be there, because there was a reason why your heart and that fire inside was ignited in the moment that you heard that thing. And so it is okay to take on these extra projects and to do these extra things outside of your business. You're not taking your focus away from that. You're not stealing time from what should be of more importance. We may be missing something great. And so let me back up here just a little bit. I want to read this verse one more time before we continue on. It's Ephesians 4, verse 32 in the Amplified Version. It says, "Be kind and helpful to one another, tender-hearted, compassionate and understanding, forgiving one another readily and freely." I love that second word, freely. You are doing it, free choice. And in that moment where you are forgiving one another, you are being set free from that thing because you have chosen to release it and let it go. And it goes on to say, just as God in Christ also forgave you. He did that for you. Why shouldn't we do that for others? And so in all of the interactions that I had this week, in all of the meetings, there was a workshop that I had to give on Tuesday night. In everything that happened, the networking events, the one-on-ones, whatever it was, there was a common theme across the board. And it was in our businesses, being who it is that God has called and created you to be, being an example of who He is, being patient, showing love and kindness, sometimes not even having to say a word, but in your actions, being able to minister and to reach the people that are either working for you, coming into your establishment, your business. They are your clients or your customers, your vendors, your suppliers. But in every interaction, being just that, someone who is kind and helpful, someone who is ready to jump and to do something for somebody else, tender-hearted, being understanding in a situation, being forgiving when things don't go just as the way that you expected, or someone did something that may have caused some type of confrontation, whether it's between you and somebody else, or it's those that are on your staff, those that are part of your team. But being an example of what that means so that they can follow in the same frame, in the same mindset, in the same footsteps, and knowing that just by being kind, helpful, compassionate, and forgiving, we can do so much more in our business by putting aside all of the garbage, all of the chaos, everything that just comes to detour us from the main purpose and the reason, and that is to serve others. And so I'm reminded right now, and I was reminded during one of these meetings this week when the speaker was speaking specifically on this, and he was talking about people knowing the Christ that is inside of you, people identifying, seeing it, knowing it, feeling it. When they bump into you, that's what should come out of you. Not anger, not frustration, not bitterness, not hate, but just that love and that compassion. And so it reminded me of something that I read not too long ago, and I've shared it on here before in another episode, but there is a book that I read about a year, maybe 2 years ago, and it's called The Go-Giver Leader, and I highly recommend it. It is a very quick read. It is a series. They have several books on different topics, but it is one of the best books that I have ever read. The Go-Giver Leader, and the quote in this book said, "What you have to give, you offer, least through what you say, in greater part through what you do, but in greatest part through who you are." And so when that came back to my memory, it reminded me of that old phrase, that we hear. It's just so cliche now, but it's don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. And I love this quote, the one from Go-Giver Leader, because of the fact that it says, what you have to give, you offer, least through what you say. So your words really don't matter. Your words are powerful. And I believe the way that I understand this is our words are so powerful that we have to be very, very careful with how we use them. So our words can either kill or they can give life. They can really press someone down and discourage them, or they can lift them up and give them hope. And so for it to say least through what you say, it's saying just keep your words at a minimum. You may not even have to speak, because in greater part, you give through what you do. And this is where your actions come in, right? Don't just talk the talk, but walk the walk. So even greater through what you do, but the last part is so beautiful. But in greatest part, through who you are. Who are you? What is inside of you? They should be able to see that without a single word, without an action. You know why? Because when we have the presence of God inside of us, when we have relationship with Him, when we walk into a room, the atmosphere should change. When we walk through a situation, we come across something, just our presence and the way that we carry ourselves, the way that we address people, the way that we respond in that moment, even just by standing there in a peaceful place, it is through who you are that you can change the atmosphere and the situation in a moment. I've shared this in the past as well, but my husband used to go through this a lot at some of the previous, well, he still does, but every company, every business that he has worked for, anytime he entered a room, there could be talking, there could be, going on, stories, just laughter, all kinds of things, or there could be people complaining and arguing, didn't matter, but when he walked in the room, it would get quiet. If they were cussing, it would get quiet. If there were certain topics that they just didn't feel comfortable saying around him, they would get quiet. Was it because he told them that he didn't like those things? Was it because maybe he mentioned that he wasn't really interested in those topics or whatever it was? No, he never had to say a word. It was the presence of God that would just immediately shut things down and bring things to this stop. And it reminds me of when the winds and the waves were just crashing, the story from the Bible that the disciples are on the boat and winds and waves are crashing. And with just a word, Jesus commanded the water to be still. There was peace. That is the same way that when we enter a situation, we enter a room, we enter anything, God's presence goes before us. And that is the last point that I want to land on, because it just came back to my memory. One of the other things that this gentleman spoke was presence before principle. And always remembering to allow God to go before you in everything that you do, in your business dealings, the interactions with your staff, with your teams, your management, your clients, your customers. Allow God, the Spirit of God, to go before you in every single thing, so that when you follow behind, you are operating and doing things in the way that our Father would do them. That brings peace into every situation. That allows you the opportunity to bring that peace into whatever chaos is going on. And that is a beautiful place to be. And so I pray that this has encouraged you today. I was certainly encouraged this week. And like I said, I start to feel really bad when I cannot get my 2 episodes a week out. And I have to understand, I know, things get busy, our lives get busy, but there is a reason why it always ends up the way that it does. So remember that in your own businesses and your own things. If you cannot do what it is that your heart was set on because God had a different plan, trust the process, trust the plan, and wait for him to speak, and he will give you exactly what it is that you need to say or do within your business and your company in order to be successful in knowing that he went before you. And so he held me off this week so that I could experience and have these interactions with all of these wonderful people. I'm so grateful for the new relationships, but being able to hear their heart on this subject so that I could come and share it with you. And so I pray that this bless you once again, and I will talk to you next week. God bless.